Hello, welcome to Goodnight Flagstaff. I'm Bob Larkin, and when I'm not coordinating medical technology at North Country Healthcare, I'm a backup announcer at Arizona Public Radio, KNAU. And I'm always very happy to be among our town's great group of Goodnight Flagstaff readers. You can find a new chapter from one of our favorite family-friendly books at 8 p.m. each weeknight on the Literacy Center's YouTube channel and on Crater Radio, a local online radio station. The previous chapter is replayed on Crater Radio each weeknight at about 7:45, just before the new chapter airs. You can also listen to all the previous Goodnight Flagstaff recordings on YouTube. Last week, we finished reading The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Tonight we're starting a new adventure with new characters to love in Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. It's set right here in the Southwest, and it's the story of a Navajo girl who becomes the hero she is destined to be. It's part of the Rick Riordan Presents publishing imprint. If you'd like to read along with us at home, the book is available in the Hoopla app, and you can borrow it right away with your Coconino County Library card. And please email us if you'd like to join our team of readers and connect with your community through our shared story time. All ages are welcome. Our email is goodnightflagstaff@gmail.com. Now, let's settle in and begin with publisher Rick Riordan's introduction to Race to the Sun. The Original American Gods. Changing Woman, Rock Crystal Boy, The Glittering World, The Hero Twins. If those names don't ring a bell, you've been missing out on some of the coolest mythology anywhere. But don't worry, thanks to Rebecca Roanhorse and Race to the Sun, you're about to plunge headfirst into the fabulous, scary, wonderful story world of the Dene, also called the Navajo. Even if you already know something about traditional Navajo tales, you're going to squee with delight because you have never experienced them like this before. Meet Nishoni Begay. Her first name is pronounced Ne-jo-ne and means beauty. In many ways, she's a typical New Mexico 7th grader. She just wants to be good at something, to get some respect at school. Unfortunately, nothing works. Her bid for internet fame is a fail. Her chance to become a sports superstar ends with a basketball in the face. She can barely manage to hang on to her one good friend, Davery, and prevent her artsy younger brother, Mac, from getting beat up by his nemesis, Adrian Cuttlebush. And as if that weren't enough, Nijoni has another small issue. She's recently been seeing monsters. Nobody else seems to notice, but Nijoni is pretty sure that even Mr. Charles, the rich guy who is offering Nijoni's dad a new job in Oklahoma, is not human. Worse, it seems that Mr. Charles has sought out the Begay family because he considers Nijoni some kind of threat. I love this story, and not just because it's a funny, brilliant page-turner with unforgettable characters and an ingenious quest. The point of Rick Riordan Presents is to publish and promote great voices from cultures that have been too often marginalized or erased by mainstream culture. No one has suffered from this more than Native and Indigenous peoples. As Rebecca says in her author's note, it's important for Native kids to be able to see themselves in fiction. But it's equally important for people from all backgrounds to read about Indigenous cultures who aren't just a collection of stereotypes or long-dead figures from the past. Native cultures are alive and well and vibrant. Their stories can tell you about the original American gods and heroes, those who inhabited and embodied the land for thousands of years before the Europeans brought over their interloping Zeuses and Aphrodites and what have yous. I'll tell you something I haven't shared before. Piper McLean, the half-Cherokee character in my Heroes of Olympus series, was inspired by conversations I had with Native kids during school visits, of which I did hundreds over the years. They asked me repeatedly whether I could add a native hero to Percy Jackson's world. They wanted to see themselves reflected at Camp Half-Blood because they simply never found themselves in popular kids' books. Piper was my way of saying, absolutely, I see you, I value you. You can be part of my world anytime. But my perspective is not a native perspective. It was one thing to include Piper as part of the heroic ensemble, to share Percy Jackson's world with kids from all backgrounds, and send a message that heroes can come from all sorts of places. It would be quite another thing to write entirely from a native protagonist's point of view about the mythology of his or her own culture. That sort of story needed to come from a native writer, and I yearned to find books like that and put them into the hands of young readers, native and non-native alike. There are so many wonderful indigenous mythologies. They deserve to be read, shared, and spotlighted. For native kids, seeing themselves reflected in books is critical. Seeing themselves reflected in the very authors who create those books is exponentially more empowering. I am thrilled that Rebecca Roanhorse agreed to write Race to the Sun for Rick Riordan Presents. It is a much-needed addition to children's fiction, and I hope it's the first of many. For all kids, reading about other cultures' mythologies is a way to expand their imagination and their empathy. There's an old Czech proverb, learn a new language, gain a new soul. Mythology is similar. The traditional sacred stories of every culture can offer us a new window onto the world, a new way of seeing and understanding. As a bonus, when written by someone as talented as Rebecca Roanhorse, mythology is wildly entertaining. But I've said enough. I'll let Najoni take it from here. Welcome to Denata. Keep your hands and feet inside the novel at all times, or some monster might bite them off. If you're really good, maybe the Begay family will take you to Pasta Palace afterwards for some spaghettini macaravioli. Signed, Rick Riordan. Hey, and just to be clear, when I use the word mythology, it is in the first and most basic sense, meaning stories about gods and heroes, not in its later, more secondary application as something false or made up. Thanks, Rick Riordan. And so, let us start the race to the sun with Chapter 1, I Can See Monsters. Chapter 1, I Can See Monsters. My name is Najoni Begay, and I can see monsters. In fact, I'm looking at one right now. The monster is a pale man with thin blonde hair, slightly bulging eyes, and unusually red lips. He's tall and skinny, and he has on a black suit and tie. Monsters leave human skin more often than fairy tales would lead you to think. Scales and horns and claws are strictly for beginners. Trust me, I'm an expert on these things. This monster is sitting in the second row of the packed bleachers of my 7th grade co-ed basketball game, looking completely normal. Normal except for the fact that he's wearing a suit when everyone else is wearing a t-shirt that says, Go Isotopes or Go Beavers, depending on which team they're rooting for. Normal, except that there's a circle of empty space around him, despite the gym being filled to capacity, like nobody wants to get close to him. Maybe they feel there's something creepy about him too, but they aren't sure what it is. I watch as a lady in a bright purple tracksuit moves in front of him, waving a red and black pom-pom dangerously near his face. Pretty sure if she keeps that up, she's a goner. Monsters don't take kindly to people invading their personal space. Okay, I made that up. I don't exactly know how monsters feel about their personal space, or whether they eat ladies in purple tracksuits, and I'm not so much an expert as much as a reluctant amateur. I mean, I've only been able to sense monsters for a few months. It started as a strange feeling while watching a lady massaging the avocados at the farmer's market. And there was the definite bad vibe from the old dude with the scaly feet and Jesus sandals at the Taco Bell. And just like in those instances, every instinct I have is shouting at me that this guy in the bleachers is not normal. The tiny hairs on the back of my neck rise. A chill, like the time my little brother Mac dumped a snowball down my shirt, shudders down my spine. Out of habit, I touch the turquoise pendant I have taped to my chest underneath my shirt. I'm not supposed to wear it during basketball games, but knowing it's there helps me feel brave. Najoni, the way this school year has been going, trying to be brave has become almost a full-time thing. When I left my big public school and transferred to the ICCS, short for Intertribal Community Charter School and pronounced ICS, I really thought things would change for me. And by change, I mean I'd have lots of friends and be popular. After all, every student at ICS is Native American, just like me. But I've been at ICS for 2 years now, and nothing is different. I'm still not popular, and I'm definitely not cool. I'm just Najoni Begay. Coach, I whip my head around because, of course, I'm not listening. Hello, monster. And she is right there in my face. So close, in fact, that drops of spittle fly out of her mouth and hit my cheek every time she shouts my name. I surreptitiously wipe off the spit, trying not to look completely grossed out, even though it's pretty gross. Coach is no monster, but she has issues with personal space, too. She's always in mine. She's also a little short for basketball, but no one would ever tell her that because she makes up for being height challenged by being really loud. Coach is Hopi, so it's not her fault she's so short. Besides, she's scary in other ways. I'm not worried she will eat my eyeballs for hors d'oeuvres or anything. Eyeball hors d'oeuvres are very popular with monsters. I read that somewhere, FYI. Coach snaps her fingers inches from my nose. Are you even listening? I nod. Total lie. Besides, it's time out. Nobody listens during time out. There's 5 seconds left in the game, she yells. Your focus should be on me, she points at herself with 2 fingers, and your teammates. She gestures at the group of 7th grade boys and girls now huddling around me. We need you to pay attention. Sure thing, Coach, I chirp obediently, but honestly, all I can think about now are eyeballs stacked like meatballs on a toothpick for easy snacking. Coach is talking again. Okay, Davery is going to pass the ball in. Who wants to take the last shot? I'll do it, I say, raising my hand. The rest of my team groans in disbelief. Put your hand down, Najoni, Coach snaps. You're standing right beside me. All right, I lower it, but I can take the last shot. Coach looks at me. The whole team looks at me. I stand a little straighter to seem extra tall. I, in fact, am not height challenged. I have a good 1.5 inches on Coach. I'll take the last shot, I repeat firmly. Are you sure, Najoni? Davery whispers. He's my best friend. Okay, my only friend. And always has my back. But right now he looks a little worried. His brown eyes are narrowed in concern behind his glasses, and his lips pressed together thoughtfully. He runs a nervous hand over his short-cropped curly hair. Easy as pie, I insist. You pass the ball to me, I'll be at the top of the key, and swish, Isotopes win. I burst out my most confident smile. Davery just crinkles his brow. Does anyone else want to take the last shot? Coach asks, looking pointedly at the rest of the team. Everyone looks down or away or anywhere else but at Coach because no one wants that kind of pressure. Anyone? She asks again, desperate. I clear my throat loudly. Okay, Coach says, resigned. Davery passes the ball to Najoni. Najoni, you take the shot. Be ready. Movement in the bleachers catches my eye. It's the monster. I watch as he makes his way past the other spectators. He's pushy, knocking into people's knees without even saying excuse me. Rude. But then, monsters aren't known for their good manners. Some folks give him a dirty look as he shoves his way through, but most just move aside, rub their arms like they're cold, and mutter unhappily to the person next to them. I lose sight of him as the crowd rises to their feet. I twist my neck this way and that, straining to see where he's disappeared to in the midst of screaming fans, but he's gone, lost in a sea of black and red. Coach claps just as the buzzer sounds, signaling the end of timeout. Everyone on the team extends an arm into the middle of the circle, touches hands, and yells, "Isotopes!" a rallying cry for what must be the worst mascot in the history of mascots. Except maybe for this one team I heard of called the Fighting Pickles. But really, who even knows what an isotope is? Davery once tried to explain it to me, something to do with the history of nuclear technology and atomic bombs in New Mexico, blah, blah, but I fell asleep halfway through. Coach is yelling. We hurry to take our spots. Davery is at mid-court with the ball in his hands. I run to the top of the key and get ready for the inbound pass. I try to visualize the winning shot I'm about to make, like Coach tells us to. I can see it all. The crowd chanting my name, my teammates hoisting me on their shoulders and leading me around the gym in victory, just like a champion in a sports movie. Everyone will know me. I'll be a superstar, fame, glory. I take another quick peek at the crowd, double-checking for the monster in the suit. Nothing. No, wait. There he is. Bottom row, courtside, 20 feet away. His eyes are red, and he's staring right at me. 4 things happen all at once. 1, I scream. 2, the ref blows the whistle. 3, Davery shouts my name. 4, and I turn towards him just in time for the basketball to hit me. Smack! Right between the eyes. Join us tomorrow night when we read Chapter 2 of Race to the Sun, Blood Everywhere. Thank you for tuning in, and good night, Flagstaff.